Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified.
That was Roosevelt's speech, his inaugural speech from 1933. The first time I heard that, I think I might have been in 6th grade or something like that, and I had no clue what that man was talking about. What do you mean fear is the only thing you have to fear? It didn't make sense. Here, 40, 50 years later, it makes perfect sense. I want to read something to you, and I'll put that up on the screen here too. And I got this from Google, and it's pretty good. It's AI, but the context of that was Franklin Delano Roosevelt used this line during a time of immense economic hardship, where widespread fear could hinder people's ability to make necessary actions. That's the context. The meaning: fear can be self-perpetuating and prevent people from taking positive steps to improve their situation. And then there's an interpretation. It's a call to confront challenges head on, not letting fear control your actions. Over the past, 20 or 30 years, motorcycling has definitely been declining, and I find that amusing. I don't really understand that, but I kind of do understand that. And it's interesting because I was just doing a search before making this bit up, and I saw a conversation on a forum by probably some Gen Xers or something. They were talking about the reason that it looks like motorcycling is dying is because of the boomers. And well, let's blame everything on the boomers. I'm not a boomer. I somehow fall in between. I mean, I'm not a Gen Xer. I was born in '64, and I think the boomers go to 62 or 63, or they end at 64. And I saw the Gen Xers begin at 68 or something like that. So I don't know where I am. But yeah, they were claiming that it was the boomers. And they said the two spikes, which was the 70s, and I certainly fell into that category of learning to ride a motorcycle early. There was a big peak in the 70s, and then it started to die off, and then it peaked back up in the 90s. And this forum was trying to explain to people that it was all because of the boomers. These people, when they're young, they could have motorcycles and they were carefree and all that stuff. And yeah, that's true. And then it says that, well, all the boomers, once they were out of school, they got family lives and had kids and responsibilities they didn't have as a kid. Okay, that's true too. And so there was a drop off going into the 90s. And then there was a big spike again towards the end of the 90s. And so it's all the boomers. But that still leaves a big problem. What about the other generations? There was something keeping them from doing it. I mean, it's not like the boomers said, yeah, we're going to ride motorcycles, throughout our periods where we can, but we're not going to let our kids do it. That didn't happen. For some reason, I think that a lot of people are just, especially in society today, and I'm talking here 2025, but for the last 25 years for sure, here in the 21st century, I believe our society has become more and more and more risk adverse. I think that most people live in a fear of something, and you can see that every day. I've long stopped watching weather reports. I live in Central Florida, and if you don't live here, there's almost celebrations when hurricane season starts. I mean, you can just see all the people talking about how we're going to save your life, we're going to take care of you and your kids, we're going to make you safe. They even have commercials about it where they're walking in like a V formation down the street and they're strutting and they're saying, we're here to take care of you. We're going to make sure that you're safe. And if you think about it, that is almost every local newscast is there. They're on your side. They're there for you. They're there to make you happy and safe and everything. And you can't do that by yourself. You see where this is going? Everything is based on fear, because if you're afraid, then you will be able to, I think there's an element of control to it. I think there's some other things too. And I'm not a psychiatrist. I mean, I'm just an old guy from Tennessee. Now, all of that aside, that's kind of the one component. But I want to talk about why, if you don't ride motorcycles and you're thinking about it, you should. And there's a lot of things you should do if you're thinking about it, and don't wait. And I talked about this in a recent video, but I'm going to get into a little more here. Motorcycling, I think, there's something about it. And there's two kinds of people. There's people that ride a motorcycle and something electronically happens to them in their brain. There's an endorphin rush. There's something there. And, and it gets in you. And then there's people who look at motorcycles as a means to get from A to B, maybe. Or something to have as an accessory to their lifestyle. As long as people think that what they've got is the right bike. Well, and that's okay. I mean, I've got nothing against that. But you'll never know which one you are until you try it. And for me personally, I didn't think anything about riding motorcycles other than I had a brother 2 years older than me. And for his 12th birthday, he got a Honda XL70. That was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I mean, up until that point, this was in the mid 70s, early 70s. And, I was a big bicyclist. Evel Knievel was my hero. I mean, two wheels, those were the superheroes. That was something that just looked beyond fun. And when my brother got this XL70, I was like, I've got to do that. I've got to have one of those. Of course, I was too young, and my dad was like, well, when he gets tired of it, he'll hand it to you and whatever. But that started a trend. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've been like, I never even second guessed what if. We lived in an area where there was a lot of wooded area, and there are a lot of hills. There's a lot of big rocks and roots. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've hit a tree or landed flat on my face or in a mud puddle or in a ditch somewhere. That was just what we did. I mean, it was dangerous for sure, but it taught me something. I'm so glad that I was free to do that. And that, to me, is the ultimate thing. It is freedom to be able to do as you wish, and free of thinking about what you're doing and how it reflects to a certain group of people or whatever. And I just think so many people are missing out that if they did it, they would change their minds. And you can see this on YouTube. There's a lot of new people that are roughly my age or a little bit younger that are coming into this now, and you can see it on their face that this is just a great pastime, hobby, whatever you want to call it. But it teaches you a lot of lessons. And this is the thing that I only learned in the last 2 years. I didn't know how motorcycling had taught me to deal with fear until I faced fear. Life lessons that you get from motorcycles will take you a lot further than just the motorcycle physically does. And I'm back. I have a YouTube channel that I started 19 years ago, 18 or 19, 2006, so whatever that would be. And I was very heavy into the motorcycle video stuff early on, and then I changed and got away from that. I still rode, but I wasn't, I had no inspiration in the video world, whereas now I have a very, very deep inspiration to be an ambassador. One, that not all motorcyclists are bad, you know, or go real fast or break laws or, you know, do wheelies down interstates. I just feel compelled to share my stories and my experience, because I think a new generation should experience this. And I think it would break down a lot of walls for a lot of people. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everybody should ride a bike. There's a lot of people that definitely shouldn't. But you'll never know until you try. And you know, if I can reach out to you know, anybody, whether you're young or old, and you've been thinking about it, I hope you rethink it and give it a shot. Give it a shot. But no, I was, like I said, I was just thinking about this. The other night. I was thinking about the only thing we have to fear is fear ourselves. It really manifests itself when you're there, you know, because when you are facing something that is you've never been, you don't know. Well, I kind of feel like motorcycling, that's what it is. You know, you hop on the bike and you take off and you want to go to a different place, and you get off the interstate and you get on a little side road, and you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going to end up, but you know, that's teaching, that is kind of what I think, you know, we as humans need. More of that, more of experiencing a little bit of hardship, a little bit of uncertainty, and then conquering it. And that's, you know, if motorcycling's taught me anything, it's taught me lessons like that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.